Hello, folks, and welcome out to the Single Player Podcast. I'm your one and only host, I'm 16-Bit, and I got a good show for you this week. We'll be talking about Disney games getting a new lease on life, as well as Project Resistance, and we'll talk about the announcement of Yakuza 7 and its awesome creator, plus more. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll be right back after this. All right, folks, and we're back. And before we get into our first topic, there's two things about last week's episode I want to bring up. First and foremost, regarding the Sega Genesis, there was one thing I forgot to mention about Mickey Mania, and that's that the game itself was actually developed by David Jaffe. Yeah, the same David Jaffe who created Twisted Metal and God of War. So I can say that my first David Jaffe game wasn't God of War, wasn't Twisted Metal. It was Mickey Mania. The second thing I want to talk about is regarding Ion Fury. Now, since last week's episode, there's been a huge update regarding the game, and that's the fact that 3D Realms announced that they're not going to censor it. In fact, they basically said that they regretted ever making this decision, and that they're not going to go forward with censoring the game or any game they've made in the past or in the future. So this is a huge win for gamers, where the game is not going to be censored, and I think that's freaking awesome. I think it's great to see 3D Realms actually grew a spine and decided to defend their product rather than to kowtow to a bunch of crybabies. And I'll tell you why this happened. There's two reasons why. First and foremost, the negative press that 3D Realms was getting because of that decision. Many gamers saw that, was absolutely pissed, and many people just who were interested, including myself, decided to just boycott the game, just not even get it. And I guarantee you that hit them really hard in the sales. You also have the fact that the reviews were negative as hell. If you go to GOG or Steam and you look up this game, the reviews are all like 1 star, telling you that overall the game itself is great, but 3D Realms can go to hell for censorship. So I guarantee you that's why they changed their mind. The other reason is also because of Reset Era's response. You see, I think I mentioned in the last week's episode that when the news came out of 3D Realms was going to censor the game and they were apologizing, Reset Era's attitude was, we appreciate your apology, but we won't accept it and we're not buying your game. So basically 3D Realms realized that they basically kowtowed to a group of people who weren't even going to buy their game. So it's like, what's the point of even giving into these people if they're just going to not even buy our game but complain about anything we do? And this is what you got. This is why you can't apologize to these people. Like I said last week, you can't apologize to these people because they don't care. They're not going to buy your product. They've never been interested in it. All they want to do is control what you do and say and what you play and what you watch and all that kind of stuff. That's what it is. They're a bunch of freaking control freaks. They're a bunch of sociopaths. And that's why you just never listen to these people. Ever. No matter what. You never apologize to them and you ignore everything they say. Alright, so our first topic has to deal with Disney. So a few weeks ago, a few of their games, Aladdin and Lion King, were both removed from Good Old Games. And a lot of people were asking, why is that? Well, as it turns out, they're both getting re-released in one collection. It's coming out this fall. It's called the Disney Classic Games Aladdin and the Lion King. And it's coming out for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and the Switch. Now, what's interesting about this is that it actually includes multiple versions of this. So you're not just going to get like Lion King and Aladdin for like the Genesis. Instead, you're actually going to get the Game Boy, Super Game Boy, and even the Super Nintendo version. Well, except for one, it's not going to include the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin. And of course, the reason why is because, well, these are all the games that were developed by Virgin Interactive. Aladdin for the Super Nintendo was not developed by them. It was developed by Capcom. In fact, that was one of the early games by Shinji Mikami. I think it came out after Goof Troop, but it came out like before Resident Evil. Like it's funny. He goes from making Aladdin to then Resident Evil. It's completely strange because game development can just be that weird. So, I mean, it's very interesting. It kind of sucks that it's not including the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin. But hey, at least you get like all these other versions of the game. I think this is actually pretty neat because not only will these games find new life on modern hardware, but you now have a younger generation that can rediscover these games. So, I mean, I think that's pretty cool, especially since now a younger generation can experience some of the annoyance that I felt playing Lion King on the Genesis, particularly that ostrich level, which still to this day I can't beat. Anyway, next topic. Speaking of Capcom, it seems that they have a teaser site for what appears to be a new Resident Evil game. Now, it doesn't explicitly say Resident Evil, but it has like a static image. It's like a TV static with like a VCR sort of setup on the side. And it says Project Resistance. And of course, the two letters that are colored red are R and E. So I think it's a fairly obvious observation that yes, this is going to be a new Resident Evil game. Unfortunately, we're not going to know until next week because the website only tells us that there's going to be a reveal on September 9th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until then. But there's been a lot of speculation as to what it's going to be. I'm in the camp who thinks it's going to be Resident Evil 8, but of course I could be wrong. Some have speculated Resident Evil 3 remake, but I think the Resident Evil 2 remake, it's too early. Because the RE2 remake just came out like a few months ago. Honestly, if they're going to announce it, the earliest they're going to announce it is at least next year. So I also saw some speculation that it's going to be a third Outbreak game. That would be cool, but I highly doubt it. So always remember, whenever stuff like this is announced, whenever there's like a teaser or something like that, always remember, never believe any speculation until it's confirmed. That's how I always view it. When I say I think it's going to be Resident Evil 8, even I'm not even sure. I'm not even confident in that answer. So we're just going to have to wait and see what Capcom has planned next for the series. Anyway, folks, I'm going to take a short break and we'll be right back after this. All right, folks, and we're back. And this next topic is actually pretty freaking awesome. So, recently, Sega announced Yakuza 7 is coming out next year for the PS4. And to celebrate, they had a huge reveal event with all sort of with all the developers there and all kind of stuff, including the series creator Toshihiro Nagoshi. Except there was a bit of a problem. You see, he wasn't actually supposed to be there. Instead, he was supposed to be at home resting 3 weeks after having major heart surgery. But apparently he didn't feel comfortable not being there, so he decided to actually go there himself. And it's like, you hear the condition that he was in, and it's like, holy crap. Apparently, during surgery, His heart stopped for 5 hours, and on top of that, several of his ribs were broken. In fact, some of them, when he made the announcement, weren't even attached. So he pushed himself out of his bed and got over to the reveal event to announce it. Dude, that is metal as hell. Holy crap, man. This guy's got balls. Okay? I've never heard of a game developer who is so dedicated, so adamant about announcing his own game that even when he's got broken bones and he's out of major heart surgery, he just goes out and just announces it. Dude, let me tell you something. I've never played any of the Yakuza games, but after this, I might. Just out of respect for this man. If I ever meet him, I want to buy this man a beer because honestly, he freaking deserves it. All right, next topic. For a moment, I want to talk about Epic Games Store. Now, I've talked about them before regarding Ooblets and Borderlands 3, and how it just seems that a lot of game developers are basically tempted. They're giving into the temptations of the Epic Games Store. However, it seems that some aren't easily tricked and have basically been sort of pushing away Epic Games Store. A few weeks ago, this was on August 15th, there's a game that came out called Dark. And it's a horror adventure game. Actually looks really interesting, and it's on my Steam list. And it came out for Steam and GOG. Well, apparently the developer put out a post on Medium about the exclusivity deal that they were offered on Epic Games Store. Apparently, they were offered a deal and they refused to take it. And they put out this post explaining why they did. And it's very interesting. He said, and I quote, "I'm very serious about working in the industry for a very long time. I had just announced Dark release date on Steam. Pulling the game off Steam a few days after release date announcement would forever ruin the credibility of my studio. I would like for my customers to have confidence that my word means something, especially when making announcement as crucial as release date/platform. Turning down the Epic exclusivity offer might have been a foolish decision in the short term, considering the amount of money that might have been involved. When thinking about long term, however, this was an easy and obvious decision to make. It was important for me to give players what they wanted, options. A lot of people requested that Dark be made available on GOG. I was happy to work with GOG to bring the game to their platform. I wish Epic Store would allow indie games to be sold there non-exclusively, as they do with larger, still unreleased games, so players can enjoy what they want, a choice." I don't think he did anything wrong. In fact, I think he did the right decision. To quote Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, he chose wisely. He made a good decision because here's the thing about Epic Games Store. As I've said before, the thing with it is it's not that people don't want to just download another service to play a game. It's simply the fact that Epic Games Store is just not a good platform right now. Not only does it have issues with spyware, but it also doesn't even have any basic functions of most stores. It has no shopping cart, it has no search option, and if you buy it too much games, they're gonna think that you stole someone's information, and they're going to delete your entire account. That's what it is. It's such a shitty system, and yet yet you've got all these people who are like, "Oh, I don't see why people don't want Epic exclusivity." What, you don't want to have competition? It's not that. There is plenty of competition on the PC market right now. There's plenty of competition. But it's the fact that compared to the other platforms, and look, I'm not saying the other platforms don't have their own problems. They do. They have plenty of problems. Steam has had problems since it was launched back in, 2002? 2003? Okay? It's had problems forever. But, simply put, they're a better option than Epic Games Store right now. Okay? So I think this guy did nothing wrong. In fact, I support him, and I'm definitely going to go purchase his game because, honestly, I think he deserves it. I think he deserves it for basically sticking to his principles and sticking it to Epic Games. But he's not the only one to do this. Bandai Namco also is doing this as well. Recently, MCV, which is a UK publication, interviewed Bandai Namco's Europe Senior Vice President of Marketing, Herve Horde. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't speak European. So anyway, he was asked about Epic Game Store, and he kind of goes into like a long, like several paragraphs about it. But what's interesting is the final paragraph, and he says, and I quote, "So for instance, I don't see any point of putting Tekken 7 on Epic Store. Epic is just another store. It's fantastic. They have a lot of strength and lots of users. The business model is attractive to us because it's more profitable, but still, their interest is, if I'm correct, exclusivity, and this is not our vision. We want our content to be available for as many fans as possible. I don't think we'll deal with Epic in the short term while we still have this strategy, but of course, if they're open, we'll go there." So they're still interested. I think most of these developers are still interested in having their games released on multiple platforms. The problem is that the Epic Game Store is just not attractive to them. They don't want exclusivity. They want to have their games available on all platforms. GOG, Steam, Origin, Bethesda.net, even Battle.net, they'll allow you to have your game on multiple platforms. Okay? Epic's not so much. Hell, even GOG admitted that exclusivity doesn't work. Even recently at Gamescom, GOG's global communications manager, Marcin Tresky, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Anyway, he was interviewed by PC Games N, and when asked about the exclusivity of their game Thronebreaker, he said, "With Thronebreaker, we started with an exclusive and decided to share it with a wider audience. It proved to us that exclusives maybe don't work for us because we don't want to limit the number of people who can access the game. We can see that if we have a good offer and we openly communicate benefits from users, we might convince them to get the game on our platform and not on other platforms." So there you have it. Even GOG is admitting that exclusives don't work. But I think, despite all the crap that Epic Games has been pulling with the Epic Game Store and such, I think eventually all their shit's going to catch up with them. Because there's an old saying, and it goes, the faster you rise, the harder you fall. That's what I think is going to happen. Eventually, they're rising at a rapid rate, and that's not good for long-term health in a company. Okay? And eventually, all this shit, everything that they're pulling right now, it's going to bite them in the ass later on. So, all you got to do is just wait. Takes time, takes a lot of patience, but you know what? Eventually, I think Epic Games, their chickens are going to come home to roost. So, anyway, folks, I'm going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after this. All right, folks, and we're back. And this next topic, okay, originally I was going to talk about the whole Cyberpunk 2077 gender thing and how, like, yeah, they're not going to have gender in it and all kind of stuff. And sort of the weird reaction from SJWs about it because they were like, oh, gamers are offended by this. Oh, but if you actually like go around Twitter and look at people's reactions, most don't even give a shit. They seriously don't care. I don't care because honestly, I'm not even interested in Cyberpunk 2077. But at the same time, these people who are making these claims are also the same people who went crazy over a shampoo bottle and Ion Fury. So it's ironic in a way. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Anyway, instead, I want to talk about something that was really messed up that happened over the weekend. So recently on August 26th, Alec Holokwa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He's a developer on Night in the Woods. He was accused of sexual assault by Zoe Quinn. And of course, everyone knows Zoe Quinn. She created Depression Quest, which is one of the worst games I've ever played. And she also is kind of responsible for Gamergate. And so she made these allegations, and these are allegations of, like I said, sexual assault, physical assault, manipulation, just a lot of really messed up things. Now, almost immediately as soon as this news came out, people started to denounce Holokwa. They started basically siding with Zoe Quinn and denouncing him. Many, not only within the gaming press, but also many game developers, including the people who he had worked with on Night in the Woods, all denounced him. And eventually blew up on August 31st when news came out that unfortunately he took his own life. It's horrible. Whenever anyone, commits suicide, it's horrible. I don't know how much I have to say, but it's downright awful that anyone is pushed to that point. This also highlights a point that I've made several times, which is that we have a mental health problem in this country. No one wants to address it. And so when you mix mental health issues with accusations and the pressure that comes with it, you get people who think that there's no way out other than just taking their own life. And that's what happened with this. He did, in fact, suffer with mental health issues. And you combine that with the anxiety and the pressure of accusations like this, and suddenly you get someone who thinks that there's no other way. But this also brings up another issue that really annoys the hell out of me, and that's cancel culture. This idea that you can cancel people by basically what can only be described as social vigilante justice. That's exactly what it is. You've got these people who think that they're carrying out justice, and in reality, they're not. They're just harassing someone until they either walk away from Twitter or they basically take their own lives. And over what? Over accusations we can't even fucking prove. All of the evidence of this is coming from one person, Zoe Quinn. That's it. There's no one else to corroborate this, and everyone just automatically believes it because it's the listen and believe bullshit. And this is why I don't like cancel culture. I think it's an absolutely horrible thing. I think we need to end Twitter court completely because, again, there is no. I believe in due process. I believe that you're innocent until proven guilty, and that's what I'm not seeing when it comes to Twitter court. You're not seeing that. You're seeing people who they make accusations against, and then they just believe it and go after the person. Which, by the way, this opens up for people to make false accusations against others, and then you'll just believe it because, well, don't you know, you just gotta listen and believe. And then there's the fact that this entire stuff is coming from Zoe freaking Quinn. The person who was basically responsible for Gamergate, who has abused and manipulated people to get in certain positions of power. And that's not like me making shit up. That's actually true. Remember, folks, Gamergate started because Erin Gronji, her ex-boyfriend, wrote a blog post saying all the horrible things that she did to him, citing physical abuse and manipulation. There's also the fact that she's been accused of sabotaging the Fine Young Capitalist Game Jam because she wasn't going to get any of the profits from it. And then there's the whole Kickstarter that she has it. She hasn't updated on in 2 years. She did this. She started a Kickstarter for some sort of like point and click adventure game. She asked for 65,000. She got 85,000, and her last update on the project was actually around this time in 2017. It's exactly 2 years, and later nothing. She hasn't updated her backers in 2 years. Okay, this is someone who has lied and manipulated people, and the fact that anyone believes her, I don't understand why. Why would you believe anything this woman has to say? She is a compulsive liar. She has manipulated and abused people in the past. And yet for some reason, everyone just wants to believe her. Everyone just wants to believe anything she says. And now, guess what? She has blood on her hands. I believe that she is fully culpable in the suicide of Alec Holliqua. I believe that she is completely responsible for this. And you know what tells me why? Because she deleted her Twitter account when the news came out. That's right. If you go to Twitter right now and you look up Unburnt Witch, you'll find that it says this person doesn't exist. She deleted her Twitter account. But, oh no, don't worry. She's going to come back. I guarantee you. She's going to come back to Twitter and she's going to play the victim. She's going to try to act as if, well, I'm the victim in all of here. I received this and that. It's bullshit. Okay? It's complete bullshit. I think this is why I hate cancel culture. I hate this vigilante justice that goes on Twitter. These people who think that they are somehow entitled to go and try to take down people who they think have committed a crime. And don't even get me started on Reset Era and all their bullshit. They were basically celebrating his death. Like, you go on Reset Era and these people were like, good, he's a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. This is the kind of things that these people are saying. Honestly, I just think we should officially designate Reset Era as an insane asylum because honestly, most of the people on there belong in one. So, and the hell of it is, we're never going to know what truly happened between these two because we're only going to get one side of the story. No one ever asked Alec his side of the story. No one asked basically what happened. It was all, she says this, okay, that means it happened. That's it. Congratulations, folks. You're never going to know what truly happened because you believe we're innocent. You're guilty until proven innocent. Folks, this just shows how fucked up the world is right now. It really is. The fact that basically anyone can throw accusations against you and people will just believe it. They won't even question it. They won't even think twice about it. They'll just say, okay, they're guilty. That's it. So anyway, I now have to calm myself down because I got myself all worked up over this. This whole thing it pisses me off to no end. Shit like this always pisses me off. It's frustrating. It really is that this is what it's come down to. So anyway, I'm going to take a short break and we'll be right back after this. All right, folks, and that's it for this week. I want to thank you all for listening. If you've got any questions for next week, the end of next week's episode, just leave them down below. It's always appreciated. You can also listen to the show on YouTube and BitChute. I used to upload them onto SoundCloud, but there was a bit of an issue with that, so I basically decided to just drop it. Daily Motion, I basically dropped as well because I wasn't getting much views. Heck, I'm even kind of floating the idea of just making this a BitChute only thing because I'm barely getting anything on YouTube at this point. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you all for listening, and I'll see you all next week. And remember that video games will never die.